Hello and welcome back to the Spin on Our podcast. I'm your host, Angel, and with me today is my co-host.
Vaughn, just Vaughn today.
That's right. We thought, Celtics up 3-1. Get out of here, Eugene. We just gonna have the Boston fan gloat the entire time. No, I'm joking. Eugene couldn't make it today, unfortunately. So it's just a two-person episode today. But we do have some news before we get into the Mavs Celtics finals that is happening right now, and that is first of all the lighter kind of not lighter, but um Charles Barkley, Chuck himself, is no longer gonna be on TV. He's retiring after the season. I'm pretty sure it has to do with TNT losing the rights to the NBA. What do you think about this one?
So he'll be there next year, but that's like the last year of Inside NBA, which is
Mhm.
also like kind of hurts to see that go because that's like the best, most entertaining basketball discussion to be had out there. But Charles Barkley retiring completely, like he made it like very obvious he's not going for interviews. He's not going to be talking about it. It's, I guess, his last dance in the sort of way next
Yeah,
season. Um, but man, it's gonna be like not. I know it's corny to say like it won't be the same, but without his presence on like TV all the time, it's just that's a blow for real.
yeah, it's kind of weird, like to think about, like, because I think it's weird that we're losing inside the NBA in general, but the fact that like we're losing Charles Barkley as a whole too, just like, because like he's been pivotal to NBA media for a long time now. So if the other three go on to do something else, it's gonna be weird, like seeing them and like not him, you know?
Yeah, because at least I think Shaq has like a podcast out there. I'm
Yeah,
sure TV will invite him for appearances. Um, Ernie has been on TNT for the longest time. He's covered other sports as well. He'll probably stick there. I don't know where Kenny Smith would be, but it, just seeing the band broken up is like low key painful, considering
yeah,
all the laughs, all the analysis, and all that. But no Charles Barkley, period,
yeah.
bro.
It's kind of
Man,
insane. I mean, inside the NBA has been going like for so long too. So yeah, it's weird just seeing like it kind of go away. Um, yeah, I'm kind of concerned about all of it just because like lately they've been having players be analysts like once the season's over. Like
like in the
Dray,
finals, Josh Hart was
yeah,
covering. Like he's still
yeah,
playing. Like wild.
yeah, and then like you have like people like Draymond who's like having the worst takes of all time constantly on ESPN, and
He's just
then
there to hate Rudy Gobert through that entire series. Like
and
complete animosity.
and then like Joel Embiid, like covering the Celtics finals. Like it's kind of weird seeing him cover them, like even though they face off so much in the season.
I know.
So it's like weird. It's kind of weird seeing like new like current players, but like I'm not gonna give up hope on NBA media quite yet. And then lastly, another big piece of news that happened. I think I want to say it happened on Wednesday, or was it Thursday? Wednesday, or definitely not Friday. That's for sure. But Jerry West unfortunately passed away. I want to, yeah, the logo, the icon himself. Uh, what do you think of this one? Like, were you kind of shocked to see it? Were you like, what do you think of Jerry West as a player as well?
I think Jerry West, the dude, was like if he was like a mentor to you, like as a player, like growing up, because he's had his hands in a lot of pots, um,
Hmm.
especially in the Clippers franchise. Surprisingly, like
Yeah,
I can't imagine a better figure than a guy like Jerry West because he's never in any controversy. It seems like he's got so much experience within various facets of the NBA business and basketball in general. It probably hurts losing a figure like that. I mean, he's literally the logo. Like
yeah,
no more iconic than the logo itself. So
yeah.
that does suck. But bro. of course, people gotta make jokes. I've been seeing people saying in the comments, don't matter what post it is, they said he could not bear to watch the Celtics win a championship.
It
I
is
don't know if that's
crazy.
good or bad timing.
It is crazy how when they went up like 2-0, he passed away. Like,
His heart couldn't take it.
yeah.
Uh,
No, I mean, like you said, like it's crazy how like a part of the NBA he is because like yeah, he was like a great player, a great executive, like a great just basketball personality as a whole. I mean, like even like as recent as like this year or maybe it was even last year when like the quote of like I'm not a dog, I'm a wolf. We eat dogs. Like, come on, bro. Like he was making banger quote like in like the 2020s. Like that's insane. So yeah, rest in peace. Like yeah, I was in LA when it happened. I wanted to see the Staples Centers and get a picture of like the like a statue of him or something, but we were busy and like it was cool though, like seeing all the tributes like of him and like how much he, like to look back and see how much he's really done in like just basketball in general is really really cool to see. All right, now as of today, they play again tomorrow, which the podcast will be out before that game. But the Celtics are currently up 3-1 against the Mavs. What do you think of the series so far, Vaughn? What do you think of the situation? Because it was 3-0, and then yesterday the Celtics lost by like 38. So what do you like? How are you feeling so far?
I'm glad that we're finally getting banner 18. Statistically, it's never happened where a team loses a 3-0 lead. And I
Yeah,
don't know why all of a sudden there's huge clamoring that this is going to be the time it happens. I
yeah,
don't think the Celtics have lost 4 in a row all season long in their
yeah.
62 win campaign. I'm not sure if they've even lost 3 in a row all season long.
They
Um,
barely even lost back to back. Like,
um, I didn't like the energy that was going on in game 4. They didn't look motivated, which is wild to see in a finals
yeah,
matchup at all. But I can see why it makes sense. Maybe they want to win at home. Maybe they would. I know Porzingis was available if they needed him that game, but they didn't play him. Maybe that played a factor into it. Like they didn't have his energy or shot making. Even if it came off the bench, that could have been a factor. Or it could have just been that Dallas had a very good game at home. Like not to discredit them in or any sort of way for having such a dominant runaway win, but also Jason Kidd finally made the decision not really to play Tim Hardaway Jr., who's been awful the entire series. I don't know how that man has been getting so much minutes, but like instead they swapped him out for basically Dante Exum, who's been getting no minutes, and he made an impact off the bench. So maybe that's their adjustment moving forward. Um, Good for them for not getting swept, but it's really inevitable at this point.
yeah,
I'm not celebrating yet because I have to wait for it to happen. I don't want to jinx it. That would be an atrocious loss. But I see some Celtics fans like sweating over it, like you're up 3-0. If they had such a historical disastrous loss, they're saying like gotta hand in my fan card. But I think we're getting too ahead of ourselves. Really, just like enjoy it. It's still finals time. You
yeah,
get an extra game out of it. So I'm not sweating. I think the only reason I would be worried is it's fourth quarter of game 7 and the Celtics are down. Like that's the only real time I think to start sweating.
yeah. Well, what's crazy is I kind of hate like I also hate the whole 3-0 comeback thing because like it went from like no one in the East can beat the West. Then it was like, oh, like the Mavs are gonna dog walk the Celtics. Then it was, oh, well, they played injured teams this whole time, so their run was easy. Now it's 3-0 comeback. Like it's crazy. I get this. I always knew Celtics had haters, but the Celtics hate is like insane this year. And I wonder if it's
Yeah.
just because like I don't know, because they were so dominant again, and like they're not like choking for once. Like it might be too soon to tell, but like going up 3-0, like you're pretty much like it is inevitable. Like if it was like 2-1, then 3-1, then I would be like, okay, Mavs still have a chance. But it was like 3-0, bro. Like, let's calm down. And what
Yeah.
also kind of backs up the whole idea that like they want to win into Boston, or maybe not even that, but like they sat all their players in after like the first half of the third quarter, we were watching the bench the rest of the game, like both sides too. It was like the Celtics bench and the Mavs bench, like it was kind of wild. So like they even try to come back. So I think tomorrow is really gonna be like I think is gonna be the nail in the coffin for sure, because like I really don't see Dallas. Like Luka fouled out in game 3, bro.
Yeah.
Like I just
That
don't see
that
that.
that was such a crazy point. Is that after that game, Luca was like crying about the rest. He made at least 2, maybe even 3 fouls that were completely avoidable.
Yeah.
So I don't know where his controversy is there. And in the replay center, they went over it. They're probably discussing does he foul out, and inevitably they decide, yeah, that's a foul. So I don't know where he has a genuine case there. Maybe like in certain instances for his teammates there were some ticky tack fouls, but game 3, I don't know, it was mostly stupid decision making on the defensive end for his part. But he did
Yeah.
respond in game 4. And to go back to your like the hate for the Celtics, bro, there's some, think of the fan bases that probably hate Boston. Like besides the Lakers, it's the Heat, it's the Knicks, it may even be the Bucks in some places.
Yeah.
And then now you're uniting all of Texas, like all the Texas basketball fans, with them together. So that's probably where all that stems from.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that would probably be where I imagine that originates from. Uh, I'm not mad about it. Like I think the Celtics probably benefit, at least through my years as a fan, coming into a game or a series where they're not supported by anyone but their fans. Because I've seen disappointing teams, like when Kyrie came back from injury for his second year in Boston, they were a disappointing team. When Gordon Hayward finally came back, they were a disappointing team. When Kemba arrived, they were a disappointing team, and they were favorites for a lot of those instances.
Mm.
And for some reason, despite being a 62 win team, best record in the league, only lost 3 games in the entire playoffs. They're somehow doubted. Like that's fine with me. Like Jason Tatum has had horrible shooting games in the finals, but unlike the 2022 finals against the Warriors, he's found other ways to impact the game. He's had high assist numbers, high rebound numbers, great defense. He's been making the right plays. So despite him not having a good shooting series, he's still having a good series somehow. He's found a way to impact, which has
Mm.
been a relief to see that growth from him. Same with Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown's done that to an extent as well as keeping up with the scoring. So it's been very interesting as a Celtics fan to see like the strengths of what you would imagine players would have, like shift to other areas of the game.
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't be worried if I was a Celtics fan at all. I think the craziest part of the Celtics this series so far is just like how well they've like been able to not shut down, but like make it hard on Luka and Kyrie. Like I said myself that like it's gonna be borderline. Like I said, it's almost impossible to stop them too. Like, but like they're doing it. Like they're making it harder for them. Like they're getting them in foul trouble so much. Like it's crazy. Like how well their game plan is working out. Porzingis himself, as well as like he was pivotal in the first 2 games. Of course, like everyone said that like, oh, game 3 is going to the Mavs because they don't have Porzingis and they still won. But like still, like he's definitely a big part of that team as well.
Yeah, for sure. credit Derek White, Drew Holiday. Uh, the combination has been really fun to see because Drew is just like has so many years of experience of defensive anticipation and where to be on the court for the most part, and he's strong, so he can't get bullied. And if they try to switch him off, he can guard a center because he's like a surprisingly strong guard. And Derek White is fast and probably the best at blocking or getting blocks as a guard.
Yeah.
At least based off the numbers. And it's been a great effort all around throughout the team. So I can't be mad at that.
Yeah. Well, what do you think? We've been talking about the Celtics, but what do you think about the Mavs? Are you surprised that they went down 3-0?
I am. I am only because they dissected the Thunder and Clippers and made the Timberwolves look like fools. But at the same time, looking back at the series, Timberwolves really didn't make adjustments like they needed to.
Mm-hmm.
The Thunder had a lot of young guys, like I would say like Josh Giddey, who kind of like, not the lights were too bright, but it just, he couldn't adjust throughout that series. And then Clippers didn't have Kawhi, and they had a game plan to limit certain players. So it made sense. But then you got the Celtics where the starting five is like all guys who could possibly give you 20. And that's really hard to plan for, I would imagine. Not to mention they're also a great defensive team, like the switching and all that. So I think that's just them running into a wall they didn't expect.
Yeah.
Also, it does feel Jason Kidd is making some of the wrong moves in the rotations. Like as I mentioned, Tim Hardaway Jr. basically scored 0 points to three of the first games he played for the finals. And then Dante Exum was really getting no minutes. I think Jaden Hardy should probably get more minutes. I know he's a smaller guard, but he's another ball handler that can take the pressure off of Kyrie or Luka if one of them goes to the bench. He's a good shot maker, I imagine. And Maxi Kleber, why is he out there, bro? He's getting switched on every single time, and he's getting cooked every single time, and he can't make a shot. It's just head scratcher. I think it's funny because in the Nuggets Timberwolves series, I said there was probably Jamal Murray would have to step up in Game 7, and he did for the first half. But I expected like the other guys to get their points as usual, Michael Porter Jr. and whoever, but that didn't happen.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like what's happening to the Mavericks right now, where they don't win if PJ Washington can't score, if Derek Jones Jr. is scoring like 2 points and that's it. So it really is Luka getting his assist numbers to those guys, getting buckets for them? Is Kyrie making those shots? We saw it in the last game. I don't know if they got it in this next game coming up. Like in Boston, chance to put them away. Luka's like playing injured. He doesn't look 100% out there, and he's still putting up 30-point triple doubles almost.
Yeah,
I don't think they got it in them.
I think what's crazy about the Mavs is like I was never one of those people who thought like Mavs in 6. Like I always thought that was crazy, but I definitely thought it would be more of a fight. But I think what's most disappointing is just that like Luka is still doing well. It's just like all of a sudden the rest of the Mavs aren't. And I think that's mostly because of the lack of playoff experience from the rest of them. And even Kyrie, like he was like insane, not insane, but like he did good in game 3, but the other 2 games he was kind of like inconsistent. And so it's just like weird to see, like it's almost like what they did to the Timberwolves. Like what the Mavs did to the Timberwolves is now what's happening to them. They just like they came in looking super strong, looking to like really push Celtics to like the brink. But now it's like, oh no, this is not the same team who dominated the Timberwolves, and I think that's like what's kind of disappointing about them is that like there's glimpses of that, but there's also times where it's like, okay, like Luka falling out in game 3, like it's like, oh yeah, I forgot how like this is his first time in the finals, because like that wouldn't happen normally, and like the way he responded to it, like, yelling at the bench to challenge it when it was clearly a foul. Like, they did not like take long reviewing it at all, and then like complaining, saying the refs like aren't, like, if anything, like, it's showing the inexperience pretty quickly. It's like kind of obvious that Boston's been there and has always, like, they've been a playoff team ever since like Tatum and Brown been drafted almost. They've been in the playoffs for a long time now, so it's like almost showing you how inexperienced they actually are.
Yeah, like regardless if Mavericks lose, I mean it's probable that's gonna happen. Like this is probably a big W for them moving forward in the next season. Like, yeah, it
Yeah,
hurts losing in the finals, but like you saw, Celtics were in the finals 2 years ago and built off of that to
yeah,
finally make it. You
yeah,
know, so it's interesting what the Mavs could cook up moving forward. I don't know what they could do. I know they're pretty close to the cap for salary, and I don't know what pieces you have that you could entice other teams for a trade. Um, I could already think of like who guys they got to get rid of. First off, get rid of Tim Hardaway Jr. That contract for what he's putting out there, bro, such a disappointment. Like I know that guy he's been a big part of that, like especially coming off the bench for a good many years, but he just doesn't have it in the playoffs. Not him. Um, maybe keep Kleba only because I know he's been injured as well, and it's nice to have a big that can shoot.
yeah,
But if you can get an upgrade, I would imagine he's on the list to go. I would say the only ones that are safe are obviously Kyrie, Luca, Derek Lively, um, but everyone else can go possibly. Like I would
yeah,
hate to lose PJ Washington, but if there's an upgrade out there, probably have to pursue it. Daniel Gafford, you probably like exchanging with Derek Lively because Luca loves his lob threats and it's been
yeah.
a big part of their offense. But if you again find an upgrade, you got to go for it.
Yeah, it's definitely like a win for the Mavs just to be here for sure, because no one even, I mean, last year they didn't even make the play-in, so like definitely a big upgrade. And I'm also wondering like if they can do it again though, because
Mm,
who
yeah,
knows? Like,
that's
I
my
mean,
big worry because it's the West.
yeah,
Like
exactly. I mean, the Nuggets didn't make it past the second round and they were champions. So it's just like in the West, especially, and just in the NBA in general now, like it's so unpredictable. Like you really don't know what's gonna happen. Like we thought the Bucks were gonna be in the Eastern Conference Finals, and they were just a mess all season. So like I
yeah,
like they might be back, they might not. And you never know.
I know Paul George is on the market. I know the Sixers really want him. They have the money to do it, but if the Mavs are savvy enough, they could possibly pursue him. Do you think that would help them though if they got Paul George?
I don't know. Paul George himself has been kind of. There's times where he looks amazing, and there's times where he looks like washed. Like
Yeah,
this season was his best season in a long time. So like it gets you excited for their playoff run, and then like there's times where like he was the guy, like there was like he got them one of their wins, but there's also times where like he was nowhere to be seen. So it's just
yeah.
like I think he could. It's just like depends on him really.
I think the Paul George that I miss was the one that was like you could see like those top 10 lists of best two-way players, and
Yeah,
Paul George used to always be on the top of them, but now he's more of a offensive centric player.
yeah,
I don't really see him as a defensive beast as he used to be.
yeah,
And that would be the Mavs like dream is if he was that player still, but I just don't think he has that in him.
yeah,
And I know PJ Washington is not like near Paul George's skill level and all that, but at least like he knows what he is to the team and
yeah.
he plays high effort defense. So I can't say Paul George would be a downgrade of PJ Washington by no means, but I don't know
Yeah.
if that's what the team needs. But
Yeah.
they need something.
All right. And then if you had to predict the finals MVP, or if you had to give it out, who would you give it to?
That's so tough. That's so tough only because Jason Tatum's not scoring like he usually is. I know game 3 he had a 30-point game, but so did Jaylen Brown. Jaylen
Yeah.
Brown has scoring consistently throughout the series. But Jason Tatum's impact, like the assists, the rebounds, the defense, it's been so valuable to these wins. But I mean, Jaylen Brown also Eastern Conference um,
MVP.
Finals MVP. Yeah.
Yeah.
If I would have chosen it, I would have done Jason Tatum Eastern Conference Finals MVP and then Jaylen Brown Finals MVP. But I didn't. So Jaylen Brown is Eastern Conference. If I guess it all hinges on Game 5.
Yeah.
How does Jason Tatum look versus Jaylen Brown? Because it's basically up between those two. I think my favorite would be Jaylen Brown right now, if I were to give an answer. It's weird though, because I've been seeing people saying like Luka Finals MVP even if they lose. Like that's never happened. If LeBron didn't get it in like the Warriors era, there's no way Luka's getting it this series. Like I think it's just probably Celtics hate.
Yeah, it is. It is.
If the Luka love was there through the regular season, he'd probably have an MVP.
Yeah.
But it's just Celtics hate, I feel like, is inflating the love for Luka right now.
No, for real. Look, I'm so sorry. Yeah, I would definitely give it to Jaylen Brown. He's been so consistent this entire playoffs. I mean, some people like are shocked. I mean, I was recency biased, so when they saw him do poorly like last year, they were shocked that he's doing good this year, which is like he just had a bad like that.
Right.
He's a good player. Like that's not how that works. But I
think part of it is like the big contract, like biggest contract in NBA history. That's probably part of it as well.
Yeah, and I think he's been like maybe not in the regular season, but playoffs. He's been proving that contract because he's been insane this entire playoff run, and like you said in Game 3 at 30, and like he's just been on fire. And I think if Game 5 he just has the same performance he's been having, I think he'll get it for sure. I think. As much as Tatum also deserves it, I just think Jaylen Brown like deserves it a teeny bit more. Shout out to Drew Holiday though. Like it's insane that like how much
the disrespect to Drew Holiday last year, bro. Bucks fans, I don't know if it was them or if it was just the league in general, but they were disrespecting him. Like he was the second leading scorer on a team in the first time in a long time. He was scoring 20 points a game.
Yeah.
And then he's not usually that guy. He's two-way, get the offense moving, and that just couldn't happen on the Bucks because the Heat were playing them in a way that really showed their holes, not having Chris Middleton and all that. So them, the trade goes through Dame for Drew. Bro, the nightmares that the Bucks GM must have been having when he heard Drew Holiday to the Celtics, they must have been vicious, bro. Because he is the missing piece. I know Derek White is very good, offensive, defensive, but Drew Holiday, I think he sees the holes on the opposing team's offenses so well because I really don't know how a player is so consistent in being such a defensive menace. Like I know Marcus Smart was, but a lot of that came from just like effort, kind of in a way like Pat Bev is, where he wants to be a nuisance. But Drew Holiday, he looks like a machine out there. Like the way Kawhi looks at his best defense, like it's just different.
Yeah, I'm
such a fan.
One of the best quotes out of this like series is that like people saying like the Bucks handed the Celtics a championship because they really did, bro. Like he is, like you said, the missing piece, but not only that, it was like the missing piece, but instead of like finding that missing piece, you found an upgrade. Like you were like,
Yeah.
oh, like what we need is like this, but like this works too, and it's better. And so like it just like helped you out so much. And like that one play that like keeps playing in my head is like, I don't remember what game, but he was driving in and he just did like a left-handed like pass to like a 3-pointer and just boom. And it's like, bro, how do you like get that kind of assist off like so easily? Like it's just like he really is like such a big help. And even though he may not get like a finals MVP, it's like it's an understatement of how much he's helped. Like he's definitely a big part of the reason why y'all are up so far.
Yeah, like especially in like the offense. I know the 3-point line or the 3-pointer Celtics love. They say to live and die by 3. But when they need a bucket, Drew's there for the 3, or he's there down like in the dunker spot, ready for like
Yeah,
a tough layup, and he makes those so easily. It seems like, which is
yeah,
not what we got with Marcus Smart. Love Marcus Smart, miss him, but Marcus Smart was shooting the 3 almost every single time, and it was kind of outrageous considering his 3-point percentage was throughout the years. It was really hard to watch all the time. But Drew as just always in the right place at the right time, which
yeah,
has been such a relief as a fan.
yeah. I mean, it's yeah. Well, I don't think. Do you have anything else you want to add?
Um, Maybe the real finals MVP was Brad Stevens all along. Bro, how did he finesse the league for Drew Holiday? How did he get Porzingis? Like like looking at the salary, I don't know how he made that work. I really don't understand how
Yeah,
he even assembled this team. Um, just very grateful. Whatever this podcast has for terms of luck is insane. We got you last year. We got
I
me
know.
this year. Maybe next
Eugene,
year, Eugene.
Eugene. Oh, that would be insane, really. Uh, all right. Yeah, short episode today, mostly because it is still 3-1, so we can't really talk about like too much into depth about things because like at that point, like we could be proven wrong. Also no Eugene, so there's less people to speak. But next week when you see us, the series will for sure. Maybe I know. I think Game 7, if there is one, will be that Sunday we meet up. So next week, we'll either the series will still be going on or the Celtics won. So yeah, if you're listening on any podcast platform, make sure you give us that good old 5 stars. Leave down a review. Do you think the Mavs will come back and win it all? If you're looking for video format, we are on YouTube at Spin the Rock, so make sure you like and subscribe there. We're also on all social media platforms at Spin the Rock, so make sure you follow us for clips and episode updates. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you again next week.